Hello everyone, this is Raj. Welcome to day 5 of online bootcamp where I'm going to talk about JavaScript in advance. So, like as you know, like as a front-end developer, we can design the interface with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And backend developer basically work on the web server part and the database part. Like they will write the business logic, like maybe for example, they will write a business logic for getting all the data from the database and that will return the value of all the users to the front-end applications and front-end user will print that particular data uh, in with the help of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So, like basically, backend developer are or they will create a REST APIs. So these all are like, for example, REST APIs is just like as a gateway. Basically, it will bridge the backend applications and the front end applications. Like this is a like URL, and through this URL, you will get the data from the backend logic. So, like in the market, we have a lot of APIs you can check. Let's say I'll just search on JSON placeholder. So this is a random APIs here. So we have a JSON placeholder. These all are the REST APIs you can use. Like for example, if I want to access the API for the post, so this will give you the random data. Like we can create a JavaScript array of object. This is a array and inside we have an object, and so this array of object is coming from the server through this particular URL, and this URL will work as a REST APIs. And what front-end developer do? So we have to integrate this REST APIs in our JavaScript logic, and then we collect this particular array of object, and then we can print on this particular web page. So I'll give you the example how we can do that. So this is a part of Fetch APIs. So I have created an index.html page and app.js page. So I will link this app.js page. We have to use script tag and then we have a src as an attribute. Here you need to link app.js file. And you can also check the file whether it's working or not. So we can write console.log. Here we can say hi and I'll just reload this page. I'll go to the inspect element and then we have a console and here we can get the data. So this is hi. Okay, so now we need to collect this data from this particular URL. So I'll just so we how we can do that. So in I'll go to the app.js file. I'll comment this one part. So we have a functionality or predefined method or APIs in your Chrome browser. Name is fetch. Okay. So this is a pre-built functions in your JavaScript rendering engine. So you just need to use fetch function for calling these APIs. Okay. Here you need to pass the path of this particular API. So we have a REST APIs and specifically the path is this one. And this REST APIs is an example for get API. So I'll talk about API more in the backend development part where we have a lot of type of requests. Let's say get request, post request, pull, and many more things. So this is an example for the get request API. So we are working on fetch function because we need to collect the data from this particular URL, and this is the data. And here we have passed the URL. Okay. Now this fetch API will work as a JavaScript promises. It is a concept of ECMAScript. So like if this particular block is successfully executed, then it will return the callback. So this is a callback. Here we have a result, and then we want the result should be in JSON format. So I'll write JSON. Okay. So basically, if this particular block is successfully handled or executed successfully, then so we need to use then block, and then it will return a result. And I want that result into the JSON file. Basically, JSON is a format where server can understand, like server can get the data in terms of JSON format, and server will share the data to the browser in as a file like as a data as a JSON format. So basically we have converted the response into the JSON file, and then we have a final data, so we can write the data part. And we are working on ES6 part, so we have a arrow function, so that's why we have used arrow function. So now we have a data, so we can print the data with the help of console.log. Here we can print the data. So I'll save, and if this particular promise is successfully executed, so we can handle with the then block. So we are working on two then block, because first we are converting our response to the JSON file or the JSON format, and then finally we got the data. So that's why we have written second then block. So this is basically basic syntax for the JSON like fetch APIs. And if this particular block is like having some issues, or maybe it is failed, so we have to handle with the error with the help of catch block. So this is a catch block, and like I'll give you the example. Like if this block is successfully executed, then we need to handle with then block. Is there any issues or problems? So then we need to handle with catch block. So catch block, it will handle the error. So we got the error, so we can print the error with the help of console.log e. Okay. So I'll save, and what I'll do, I'll just go to the browser and then reload this page. And within a few seconds, you will get the result. So we have a result. So we have an array of object. So inside array at zero index, this is an object having a key value pair. Let's say body, this one, ID, this one, title, this one, and user, this one. So we can print this data, how we can do that. So now I want to print this array of object into the UI part, how we can do that. So I'll create a div element. Here we can write div element, and here we can pass the ID as a result. Okay, so here we have a result as ID. I'll just save, and here we have a data. So I can go for the for loop, because we can use for loop for like iterations. So we can also use map functions. So now I'm going to show you how we can implement this printing logic with the help of for loop. So we can implement the for loop. So we have a for, and then we can define a variable. So where I is equal to 0, I less than data dot length. So we have a data dot length, then I plus plus, and then we need to print the data. So we'll write document dot get element by ID. So we have ID is a res, and then for printing a data in this particular div element, this one res. So we have to print the data. So I'll save, and here we will write the equal to symbol, and then we need to create a multi-line string. So how we can achieve multi-line string? So I will just open on screen keyboard. So we have a symbol till symbol. So with the help of this particular symbol, you can create a multi-line string. So we have a concept of multi-line string. Okay. So first I'll create a div section. So second one is this one is for the div, and this is the data for the post. So, like we have a title. So we have a title. This is the title, and this one is for the body. So what I'll do, I'll write h3, and here we can print the variables. So my variable name is dollar symbol data of I, comma, dot, and then we need to print title. So we'll add a title. Similarly, we can print the content. So we have a content for b tag, and then we have a body sections. So here we can print the body, dollar symbol, curly braces, data of I, and then body. Okay, so I'll just save and just reload this page, and within a few seconds you will get the data. But right now we have 100 array of object, but right now we have printed only one, this one, just because it will override this particular logic. So we will write plus symbol here, so it will get generated. So we have a list of 100 blocks details, and we have all these APIs, and it will return array of object, and then we have printed this array of object in this particular part. So now we can design this particular path. So here we can design. So let's say I'm creating a class. The class name is card. Here we can perform a card. So I'm using the style sheet. So here we can write style.css. Okay, so how we can link this particular style? So here we need to write link href uh, link, and here we have a relation rel, and then we need to use style.css as a link. So we have a class name is card. Okay, so this is a card class. Here we can design the card. So let's say I'm defining a border. So we have a border is equal to 1 pixel, solid, hash, color code. Maybe you can mention the color code is this one. And you can define a margin from the top. So margin from top is equal to 5 pixels. And similarly margin from bottom 5 pixels. So I'll save and then reload this page. So we have this particular border box, and then we have a content. Okay, now we can design, like we can add some padding. So here we can write a padding, let's say 10 pixels from left, top, bottom. Okay, so this is how we can do that designing part. So you can apply CSS property, whatever you want to implement. So it's totally up to you. Okay, so this is example for the fetch API, how we can get the data from the API. So we have a GET request. So like these all are the API you can use. So I'll give you another example. We have one more APIs. So let's say api.github.com/user. So this API will give you the details or all the users, like top users of the GitHub. So we have an array, and then we have an object of the user. So this one is user one, this one is for user two, and this one is for the user three. So what I'll do, I'll create a new file. So I'll close this entire logic, and here we'll write github.html. Okay, so this is a github.html. Here we can write a Java HTML basic code, and then we can create a file. Let's say this one is for the github.javascript, because we need to write a logic for the github file. So this one is github. Okay, now we need to integrate this JavaScript file. So we need a script tag, and then we have src as the attribute, and then we can link this file github.js file. Okay, now as I told you, like we have an API. So this is the API. We need to integrate this API. So we have to use this fetch function, and here we need to pass this URL. And if this block is successfully executed, this will give you the result, and I want to convert that result into the JSON file. So that's why we have written JSON. So then finally we will get the data. So here we have a data, so we can print the data with the help of console.log. So we can print the data. Now, if there are any issues, so we can handle with the catch block. So we have an error. So here we have an error. We can print the error with the help of console.log. Okay, so I'll save and I'll go to the directory. So we have a file github.html. So I will open this file. I'll go to the inspect element, and then we'll go to the this console. So we have a data array having a 30 object of users. So this one is for the user one, and second similarly for the user two and three, and so on. Okay, so we want to print the user data in the UI part. So as you know, like we can create a div section. So here we will create a div section. So what I'll do here, we will implement the table property, because we want to print the data into the tabular format. So what I'll do, I'll create a table tag. Inside table, we have two sections, table head. So we have a table head, and we have a data of the user. So first we will print the user profile. So we have user profile, this avatar URL, I think. Yeah, so this is the avatar URL. I'll just open this URL for checking. It's a this one double quotes. I'll remove this double quotes, and yeah, it's working. So this avatar URL will give you the user profile. So we have a row, inside we have a column, So this one is for user profile image. Okay. And second one is for username, because GitHub username. So we got the GitHub username from this login as a field. And right now we will print this particular two columns. Okay. So now we have another section for the table, which is the body. And this t body will be dynamic based on the number of array of object. Okay. So here we can define the ID. So ID as a res. Here we write res. So I need to print the data. So we have a data, and this is the data array of object 30. And so first we will apply for loop. So here we can write a for let I is equal to 0, I less than data dot length, and I plus plus. Okay. So we have a data. So we'll write document dot get element by ID. So this will give you the ID of the document whose ID is res, and then we'll write a logic in our HTML. And we are not want to concat override, so that's why we will return this plus symbol. So we can implement on the multi-line string concept. So we have a logic with this particular symbol. So you can do that. Now, we every time we need to create a row and having a two columns, so we will write here the logic. Okay, so here we need to use a profile. So yeah, here you need to print the image. So how we can do that? So we have an image as a tag. Here we have src as attribute, and inside src as attribute, you can pass the value. So we have a URL. So how we can get the URL for the image? So we have avatar URL as a field. So we'll write data of I dot avatar URL. Okay. Similarly, we have a username. So how we can print the username? So we have dollar symbol curly braces data of I dot, and this will give you the username. So username is login. So I'll save and I'll reload this page, and you will get the data. Okay, so right now we haven't added the design part CSS, so we can implement the CSS part easily. So here we can write, right now I'm working on inline CSS, so I'll write style, and we can define the width, width, width is equal to, let's say, 20 pixels. Save and then reload. So we have a GitHub user information. Okay, 20 pixels is too much, less, so I'll use 60 pixels. Yeah, it's working fine. And we can define the border for the table. So here we can write the border is equal to 1 pixels. Save and then reload. So we have a GitHub username, users info, and so this is how we can print the data. We can get the data from the API, and we can integrate the data with the help of Fetch API. And here we need to pass the API path, and then this is a static logic. Like this logic will be free as it is. So we have a then block. First we will convert the data as a response into the JSON file, and then we have a data, so we can print the data. And if there are any issues, so we can handle with the catch block. So this is the way how we can use JavaScript for getting the data from the APIs, specifically GET APIs. So thank you so much for watching, and see you in the upcoming video. Bye.